Okay, let's talk a little fantasy. It's time. It's our Tuesday fantasy look. We're going to do something different from here on out. We're about halfway through the season, and you guys are halfway through your fantasy leagues. Here's the deal. The days that I said it for the last 2 weeks, but now it's even more on your radar and as big as life when it comes to fantasy. There's no guy that you're going to pick up who's a waiver wire guy that's going to give you 2 or 3 touchdowns every week. He's going to be a guy that's, unless you have 3 injuries at one position, then you're playing grab bag. At this point, you're not getting Joe Six-Pack off the street to come on and win your fantasy league. You're looking for matchups and looking for, okay, is this team any good? What are they going to do this week? Who's playing Larry Fitzgerald man-on-man in Arizona? So here's what we're going to do. I want you to email your stuff every week in my name to opensports.com and address it fantasy and ask me your questions. For instance, who to start as opposed to who to pick up. Okay, there's a million fantasy. Open Sports has an unbelievable fantasy group. I love fantasy football. But you know what? It's like having a good coach. If you don't have players to choose from, or you can't manage your team or coach your team. It's the same now. You got to have players, and if a guy's hurt, you go plug somebody, or you start somebody else. I'm going to help you with who to start and what the key matchups to look for every week. So when you say, well, Sean, Arizona's playing Pittsburgh next week. Can the Steelers match up with Larry Fitzgerald? I'll tell you the matchup and tell you with pass rush and what's going on. Let's do that, and you can get your information right here instead of, hey, there's a guy in Detroit who's the third-string running back who may give you a chance to get 4 carries for 8 yards. Nah, that's not helping your team win. It's about winning, and you want to win your fantasy league. And you want to coach and general manage and own your fantasy league where you have a chance. So I'm going to give you a chance every week, and I promise it'll be better this way because at this stage, there's not a whole lot out there to go get, folks. But what you want to know is if Moelde Moore is going to get 3 touchdowns for you if you got him as a backup, depending on the health of their football team. Those are some key things, like with the injury to Sammy Morris. Next week when the Patriots play, do we want to look at it and say, man, will the backup get his 25 carries? That's what we're looking at. So email them to opensports.com, fantasy, and address it to me, and I'll answer your questions. We'll go through it right here. Love to get you guys involved. Let's give you a better chance to win instead of me telling you that the 5th receiver is going to come in and catch 2 balls for 8 yards. Not going to work for you. We want you to win. So let's address this now. We're halfway through the season. Waiver wire. It's like in the NFL. There's not a waiver wire pickup at the NFL who's going to get a team to the Super Bowl. You want to win your Super Bowl in fantasy? Opensports.com. Address it to me with your questions about certain matchups each week, and we'll help you win your fantasy league.
So you think you can tackle a pro? There's only one way to find out. Click on fantasy at opensports.com.